What is up, people? BP here, and today we are going to be answering a couple questions from the junior, the son of Jordan Peterson himself, Mr. Scott. Honestly, though, Scott is definitely an intellectual when it comes to relationships and opinions on modern women and men as well. And so we're going to be answering the question, why are men going their own way? And the first question is, why do you think the modern woman is so challenging to date? Scott, please answer that question. Microphone, please.
Well, it's that women now have all that they need, where they have their own full-time jobs, they have money. If they want protection, they could just get a dog. You know, there's not the need to provide and protect doesn't seem to really be there, but they are continually trying to, get both things at the same time. You know, they're trying to get whatever they can financially from a guy, and that's not really what any guy wants to deal with. They're not trying to just put their hard-earned money towards overpriced trips and meals and stuff. With the cost of everything, that's just not rational. And furthermore, you just feel like you're wasting your time, and you're being taken advantage of. And they see it as we're taking advantage of them if we sleep with them. And they don't understand that's beneficial to them as well. But I don't know. I just think their whole approach is wrong. You ask a woman, what do they provide to a man, and they say, "Oh, I have a great career." Well, men will respond, "I'm not looking for you to have a great career. I'm building my own career. Whatever money you make or whatever success you make, that's good. I'm not for or against it. I have no problem with it, but I don't look for that." Men look for beauty, and that's why women spend money on makeup. And I don't know. I think it's a long road, and I think people just got to take their time and get to know people and not waste their time on, people that are just there for financial gain.
I feel like, men are trying to get sex for free. Women are trying to get money for free. Would you agree?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like there shouldn't be finances involved in sex in the first place. I mean, you either want to have sex with somebody or you don't, and you both get something out of it or you don't. And I feel like if you're trying to get something financially out of somebody, you're just as bad, if not worse. That's even worse, to be honest, because you're not even including the person. You just want the wallet. That's even worse, in my opinion.
I totally agree. So, I'm not going to say his name. We'll just say his name as John. So, a few days ago, John was hanging out with, we'll just say her name is Susie. He was hanging out with Susie, and Susie was keeping him company, and he's giving her literally $800 to do nothing. And when I'm being told this, I'm like, wait a second. Why are you giving her $800? And what are you getting in return? And literally, the answer is nothing. He was getting nothing in return. In my opinion, I feel like guys that do that type of thing, they're setting themselves up for failure because, number one, she's not going to put out for you. Number two, you have not established a verbal agreement to saying, hey, if I give you this, I should be getting this in return. And he did not have that. So therefore he was giving her free money. And in her mind, she's thinking, oh yeah, I'm just going to keep doing this because guess what? He doesn't, I don't have to do anything for him to get this money. All I have to do is just show up and be in his presence, and bada bing, bada boom. There you go. I freaking get $800 out of the guy, and this is going to last, for as long as I want. And I was telling the friend of her, I was like, look, you need to advise her, look, if you want him, or if she wants him to continue to put out money for her, she needs to play fair. And if she does not play fair, he's going to stop. And what do you have to say about that kind of a situation?
I mean, I hate to say, but it's true, because when it comes to women, like, you'd think that they, have some higher moral standard. They don't. If you let them take advantage of you, they'll do it, and they'll do it as long as you'll allow it to happen, and they won't stop until you stop it.
Correct. So, I mean, guys in those similar situations, I mean, unless you have a verbal agreement and you say to the girl, look, if I give you this amount, I should be getting this in return. You're basically setting yourself up for failure and to be used for your resources. And, like, honestly, you should not be doing that shit, because she's just going to take you for everything that you got. All right, so let's move on to question number 2. What would you tell men who are in their early 30s to, what would you tell men who are in their early 20s to do?
I mean, honestly, it depends on what you're trying to do, but I would say work on yourself, focus on yourself, don't chase women at all. I mean, the more you chase them, the more you're pulling your focus and attention away from being successful and being happy and doing what you want to do, whether that be the career or the hobbies, which are probably the very thing that'll draw them in. I mean, so if you want to be really fit, then you should go after that, and that in itself will draw them in without you having to beg. Or if you want to get educated, doing that will attract them like a magnet, and you won't have to work so hard. And it's like getting 2 things instead of just one that's probably going to be a no. You can get a degree and a girl, or you can chase the girl and get nothing, not the girl, not the degree. You can go to the gym and get fit and be strong, successful, confident, happy, and healthy, and the girl, or you can get neither. So it's better to chase something that makes you better rather than to chase the woman. And we all know that if you chase them, they walk away. And if you don't chase them, they'll chase you.
That's true. I'm trying to think, what would I tell myself if I was to restructure this question? Like, what would I tell myself, who's in my early 20s? I mean, man, because I'll be honest with you. Like, when I was 19 years old, I got married, and my first divorce happened when I was 21. It was June 25th, 2006. So that was when she filed. I was 21. And, I mean, for myself, I was involved with a woman who could not break away or break free from, her parents and follow my leadership. And for me, the biggest issue that I have with modern women is compliance. And if you cannot find a woman who is fully compliant with your demands as a guy, and you know exactly what you want to do, then she's not for you. And for that particular situation that I was in, I didn't vet her properly. I didn't ask the right questions. I just got involved and said, whatever happens, happens. But, guys, if you're in your early 20s, you really need to ask the right questions so you know exactly what you should do. And, if you're in it for the long haul, until you're 75, 80 years old, until you're dead, and you want to be with this woman, you need to find out you need to ask the right questions is really what you need to do. And I would say body count matters. I would say compliance matters. If she's argumentative, if she's non-compliant and she does not respect you and she doesn't want to do what you tell her to do, like, those are huge red flags. I would not put up with that. Because for me, in my personal situation, she valued her parents' opinions over my own. And, to be quite honest, I should have been fully financially prepared in my early 20s to take her on. And what that means is I should have had a couple $100,000 set aside in the bank that she did not know about before I got involved. So that when I did get involved, if she was to say, "Hey, thanks, but no thanks, this is not for me," I could have said, "Okay, well, there's the door. Have a nice day." And it would have been, no harm, no foul. And I could have taken my losses much easier than as opposed to I'm 20 years old and I have to figure out how the hell am I going to pay $850 a month for child support for the next 18 years? And my child is 6 months old. Okay. So I would say if you're a young guy, you need to accumulate as much money as you possibly can before you get into these relationships, because guess what? If it doesn't work out, they're going to take you for everything. They're going to take you for everything that you have for the next 18 years. All right, so let's go ahead and move on to question number 3. What do women need to do in order to change the minds of modern westernized men? So if you were to, I guess, talk to modern women, how could they earn the trust of modern men, or what could they do better? Maybe is a better way to ask that question.
I mean, I feel like there might be some good women out there, but they're not going to be outgoing and social enough to not put forth enough effort, at least initially. And I feel like it's like the women who might be at least outgoing enough would be more likely to just try to sell you on the image of something rather than actually like become someone good and decent. I feel like people just got to take their time, because there's a lot of painting a picture of being, a certain, trustworthy person and not actually being decent. They'd have to show how is it beneficial for a man to get married. So far, there's no benefits. It's all negative. And until there's something at least equal, until it's at least equal between both genders, men are just not going to be interested.
And I would say that if you're getting married just because you're lonely, or you don't want to go through you don't want to go through life by yourself. I mean, there's other options to that particular problem. I mean, when you enter into marriage, you're entering into a legal contract saying, "Look, I'm going to be with this person for better or for worse. And if she leaves because she has a change of mind, or she doesn't like the fact that I leave the toilet seat up, or whatever bullshit answer that she has, and yeah, I'll be responsible for her. Yeah, I'll provide alimony or child support for her." I mean, in my opinion, that's not good. I mean, I don't think that's good enough. I mean, for me, it's not good enough. They would need to play by my rules, and if I'm going to go by freaking the common law of the land, I'm not going to agree to it. I'm going to say, "Look, we're going to play by my rules, and you're not going to take my money. You're not going to take my resources. And if we're going to do this thing, we're going to do it on my terms, not by the terms of what the state has set forth for us." And but yeah, I mean, if the modern woman wants to, I guess, earn the trust of modern men, I would say she needs to be agreeable. She needs to be compliant. She needs to communicate with us that, "Hey, I'm not going to take you for every dime that you have. Hey, I'm in it for the long haul. You can trust me." And she needs to prove herself to us. I mean, honestly, how would you feel if let's just say you get married, right? And the woman you marry decides, you know what, after 6 months, I've lost sexual interest, and she does not want to put out anymore, or it's so scarce now that maybe it's down to like once per week. I mean, would you put up with that for the next 25, 35 years?
I'm not sure how long. I'm not sure how long I would put up with that for, but I don't think it'd be very long. I mean, you can only waste so much of your time, really, before you need to change something in your life.
Exactly. So, I mean, that's not the most important thing, obviously, but I mean, if women are getting married with the intent of, oh, I don't have to ever give him sex, you are sadly mistaken, and you are like setting yourself up for failure, because men want sex, and if you are not willing to give that, then maybe you should consider not getting married, and maybe marrying your best friend or marrying your sister who does not want to sleep with you, because men want sex, and if you're not willing to put out, then you're wasting his time. And like men, this is why like I'm really upset with my good friend, is because he's given her all this freaking money and has gotten shit out of the deal. And it's like, dude, if you're going to give a woman all this money, you need to expect something in return. And then if you don't, you're wasting your time. And marriage is kind of the same way. If you get involved in a marriage as a woman and you have no intention of putting out, you are wasting his time. And like, guys, you're building a future with a woman who does not want you. And it's got to be fair. So to women, I would say, play fair. To guys, I would say make sure they are playing fair, because if they're not, they're wasting your time and your resources, and they're playing you for a fool. Do you have any further comments?
I mean, yeah. I mean, if that's all guys are wanting in a relationship, and they're not willing to do that as the bare minimum, that's a red flag in itself. I mean, with the long list of stuff they want out of us, we never asked for just one thing. Or guys only want, as a minimum, the sex. As a minimum. That's like
what would
ground floor.
So what would be a minimum to kind of check that off the list? Like frequency. We'll say frequency. What would be the frequency minimum?
Well, I mean, I think the hard thing is that it's probably going to change over the course of how long you're with them. So when you're first starting out, it's going to be every week. But if you're in a relationship and it's going on months and it's going on more than a year, I don't think it's going to be every week. I mean, unfortunately, that's just the way it is. I think it might be. But if it's not at least once a month, then you probably have a problem.
I would say this. If you're married as a guy and she's not putting out at least once per month in the first initial 5 years, correct me if I'm wrong. Is that fair?
Yeah, I think that's reasonable.
Once per week, the first 5 years. If she's not doing that, then, dude, she's probably using you for your resources. And in my personal opinion, you're too valuable and you have too much to offer to like just give that shit away for free. So
this brings up another thing, because now why are women bitching about, how much they don't want to have sex? I feel like they're just using it as a weapon, because it wasn't the whole thing that they were originally bitching that some guys were sleeping with other women, like multiple women. And so the fact that they want to sleep with them, that should that should make them happy and content and satisfied, knowing that they're the ones that the guy wants to have sex with.
Of course. I mean, I was having this conversation with a friend of mine. I was like, look, who deserves the sex? The guy who's not doing shit for you, but he's the one you want, sexually speaking, or the guy who is financially providing for you and doing everything for you? Guess what? Answer the question. Who do you think deserves it?
Yeah, I mean, the guy who's obviously providing deserves it, but...
I mean, think about it. Modern women are giving it away for free to men who do not deserve it. Am I right?
I mean, it's true, and I think it just has to do with timing. They're in the right place at the right time, and it's also has to do with power and respect, and,
yes,
they have to respect you.
That and sexual desire. So I would say that the men who are providing 9 times out of 10 are not sexually desirable. Am I right?
That's true, because you'd think that the strongest or most fit or most masculine men would make the most money. That's not the case. Some of the men that make the most money are actually not that masculine. And so they got the money, but they don't have the masculinity, so the woman is not attracted to them sexually. So she just sees them as the bank. Just resources, cash, money.
Which brings me to that point that on that one wiki site, Incel Wiki, it says beta bucks, beta bucks, alpha, F word. if you can imagine. Let me just explain it to you. Beta bucks, alpha fucks. Okay, so the guy who is not masculine, the guy who is not manly enough, he provides financially. But the guy who is alpha enough, or manly enough, or masculine enough, doesn't do shit for her. He's the one that's actually getting the booty cheeks. So the lesson to be learned here is, if you're going to provide and give your money and resources and time and attention, you should probably be getting the vagina. And if she's not, then... I mean, what would you do if you're providing hundreds, thousands of dollars to a woman and she's not sleeping with you? What would you do?
I've never been in that position, and I never would put myself in that position, and I sure wouldn't ever stay in that position.
Thank you. And for guys who are in their early 20s, what would you tell them to do if they are in that position?
I mean, you just end that and move on. Like, you don't even need to be friends with them. You don't need to talk to them anymore. Just delete their number and just move on.
Bye, bitch. I mean, dude, you tell her, look, we're not going to be friends. We're not going to hang out. We cannot communicate because guess what? This is not fair. I'm doing this for you, but what are you doing for me? What do you bring to the table? Nothing? You bring nothing to the table? Okay, well then why are we talking? Why are we communicating? Why are we dating? What's the point? You obviously do not want to carry my seed. You want to carry the seed of someone else, Chad, Brad, Tyrone, someone who gets you off, but I don't get you off. Why not? I deserve it. I give you money. I provide a house for you. I provide security for you. But that's not enough for you? For real?
Yeah, I mean, they need to bring you peace. That's the thing. Like, I remember it being described that if you go to work, you have enough stress. Like your war is at work. That's your stress. You come home, you need to relax. You need to have peace. If they can't bring that, then they're not bringing anything valuable. You don't want to come home from work stressed out and then come home to a war. Like there's no man that's going to sign up for that.
In other words, forget that shit. So guys, if you find yourself in a position where you're giving all that you have and she gives nothing, this is what you do. All right, that's all I have. Do you have any final last words?
No, I don't know. I mean, I would probably just stay away from modern women altogether. Just count them right out. No thank you. Skip them.
Suck a dick, bitch! All right, sorry. I've been drinking tonight, so... yeah. We're going to have an awkward moment of silence.